Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's been a little while since I spoke to you. I've been live on this platform, but we are live today. We're going to have fun. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. You're tuned into the channel Black and Blue, where we discuss and highlight officers across the nation who are either currently on the job of law enforcement, who are rookies on the job of law enforcement, or retired on the job. We've had a few past guests. We got a few more coming up. I hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to learn a lot. We got a special guest who's backstage. You can see the name below. I'll introduce him here in a minute, but I just want to put some things out there. As you see, the show itself and the website is scrolling below. Make sure you check that out. Not right now, but when you have that opportunity, once we're done streaming, okay? The website's on there. We're streaming from 5 different platforms right now. This is the first time I've done that. We're on 2 pages of Facebook. We're on the Lab with Coach Clee with Facebook. We're on the Black and Blue page. We are on LinkedIn with Clee Tillman. We are on YouTube with Black and Blue. We are also on YouTube again with the Coach Clee page. I believe it's Coach Clee or the Lab. I forget the actual name. My bad. But make sure you guys tune in, tag, like, share, and subscribe. I did hear some things coming down the pipeline with Facebook and podcasting. So you guys may want to follow up on other platforms if that is to come to fruition. I don't want to put that out there because I can't start rumors when I'm not employed with Facebook. So I really can't tell you. I am your host, Clee Tillman. Thank you guys for tuning in. I got a special guest, like I said. His name is Ramel. And I just met him last week for the very first time when I took a trip up to New York, and I had an exciting trip. He treated us very well. I learned a lot about him. He is the current president of N.O.B.L.E, and I'll let him explain what the N.O.B.L.E is the acronym of the New York chapter right now. He's also, he calls himself a serial entrepreneur. He can explain that a little further, but I do know he is the CEO of Logistics Solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll bring him to the stage, but make sure you enjoy this video first. And 4 over and out. All right, like I said, that's the intro of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Been playing that a few times now. Really liking that. I got the special guest right here. Got a couple comments here. I believe we got Dr. Francine Donier Henry on here. She was the guest who was on here last time. She's chiming in, saying hello, hello, right back to you. But without further ado, I'm gonna bring Ramel Lee to the stage right now so he can go ahead and tell you a little bit about himself. Ramel, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear. Thank you for making yourself available and being a guest featured here on Black and Blue. Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you will, please.
Oh, well, Ramel Lee. I'm based out of New York. I'm inspector with the Metropolitan Transportation Authority Bridge and Tunnel Division.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a director of field operations for Field Operations South, which encompasses South Brooklyn and Staten Island, New York.
Okay.
I'm also a president of the New York chapter of N.O.B.L.E, the
Mm-hmm.
National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. I've been in law enforcement for 20 years, and
Okay.
I've been a member of N.O.B.L for about 13 years now.
Okay. All right. Nice. So let me ask you a couple. We're going to talk about Noble, but let me get a couple background questions. What got you into law enforcement? What gave you that bug about 20 years ago?
Well, it's it's a two-part story. One, I come from a family of civil servants,
Mm-hmm.
public servants, and so my mother always pushed me, take all the tests, take all of them, good secure job. That's what you want. You can live out
Uh-huh.
your dream, but have that as a plan B. And so, to be 100% honest, when I first got on, it was my plan B.
Okay.
I didn't know what to expect from the job,
Mm-hmm.
but in the course of doing it, I've grown to love it. It's just something special when you get to help people,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes you feel good.
Uh-oh, what happened? Hold on, let's bring you back up.
You,
Sorry, got
you,
knocked off there.
that's no problem. You help people, of course, because they need help, but selfishly, it also feels very good to help people. You turn around and say, you know what, uh, that that person's still here because of decision I made or action I took, and
Uh-huh.
there's some gratitude. So it just made me want to move forward within my career in law enforcement. I wanted to become a supervisor. I wanted to become a policy maker, a
Okay.
leader in the field. So, I took every promotional exam, uh, even went back to school, get my master's degree. I
Mm-hmm.
did everything to progress up the ladder, to be in a position to now uh, mentor and help, officers that are younger than me and coming in.
Gotcha, gotcha. Which is definitely needed. Trust me, I know. The department I worked for, my previous department, I remember I was a small department, two-man department, and when I got hired, I was trained for 2 weeks by the guy who I was replacing, and so out of there no matter what. So I had to like, soak up everything I possibly could from him in a short amount of time. And needless to say, that wasn't enough. However, the size of the department and the amount of calls that we had back then, I was able to at least navigate myself through and kind of feel my way through until I became a little bit more seasoned.
Okay. No, no, yeah, definitely, definitely.
So you're the president of Noble. How long did you say you were the president of Noble?
The president of New York chapter. I don't want to ruffle the national chapter, the
You're
national
right.
president's feathers.
I'm sorry.
No, no, no,
That's
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 fine.
on me.
That's fine.
That's on me.
No, that's fine. Well, I got sworn in January 2021, so I've
Okay.
been doing it almost a year and a half now.
Okay. And how gratifying is that for you, at least to actually be a part of an organization where you get to help out other officers?
Well, when I first joined Noble, and I went to my first chapter meeting, I walked in a
Mhm.
room, and I seen all these black law enforcement executives. It was a room full.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even know there were that many in the city, let alone part of like one organization.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I fell in love with the mission immediately.
Okay.
You know, Noble prides itself on being the conscience of law enforcement,
Hmm.
and their motto is justice by action.
Okay.
And their mission is to ensure uh, procedural justice throughout all communities. And being a person of color and in law enforcement, you see uh, how policy sometimes uh, leads to communities of color not being policed the same.
Hmm.
And Noble's mission is to change that, to
Okay.
make sure everyone's given the same respect regardless of zip code. So, so yeah, I fell in love with the mission right away, and for police leadership throughout New York to look at me and make me the steward of the chapter for the time being that I am. I'm just honored. Just there's nothing more I can say. It's honored to think that they would think that highly of me. So I just feel honored. I take me being the steward of the chapter very seriously. Uh,
Hmm.
it's part activism as far as fulfilling our mission, but it's also running an organization.
Hmm.
There's constitution, bylaws, finances, all those, or fundraising, all those things also involved. So
Hmm.
it's definitely a full plate, but I'm enjoying the meal.
I like that. Good, good. So, Noble, like you stated before, stands for National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. Um, how would a person who knows nothing about Noble at all, they want to apply to gain access into the organization itself?
Well, Noble, it's a national organization with local chapters. So
Hmm.
national, and I definitely know New York, but I can assure you almost all chapters have a website.
Okay.
You could go on the national website, which is noblenatl.org, and
Hmm.
you can find like your local chapter, but it gives you a history of the organization. It also gives you options to join. You don't have to be a black law enforcement executive to join Noble. You can be of any ethnicity to join. That's number
Hmm.
one. uh,
Okay.
just gotta believe in the mission. uh,
Hmm.
you don't have to be an executive. We have what we call associate members, people who are just under the executive level that are
Hmm.
looking to either support the executives in their mission or looking to one day become an executive themselves. And
Okay.
there's also a supporting member level where you don't have to be in law enforcement at all.
Hmm.
And some chapters have collegiate chapters. So for
Okay.
people that are in college that are studying in the field of criminal justice, they can also join. So there's room for everyone. And if you don't want to do anything, you can always be a sponsor and help us out.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yes, that does help the boat and get down the stream a little bit
Yes,
quicker.
yes, absolutely.
So after once I go to a website and I join Noble. At any level, any of the levels that you were just talking about that I may qualify for or that I may be appropriate for. What should I expect from there? You got are
So
there meetings
yes,
weekly, monthly? Okay.
so from there, you'll be communicated from national, and you'll get your membership ID card. You'll get the welcome packet. You'll get
Hmm.
emails updating on Noble events, messages from the national president, things of
Okay.
that nature. If you join the chapter, each chapter is run a little differently, but mostly there's monthly general membership meetings. So you get to meet, network, learn what's going on with the chapter. Each chapter has their events, their
Hmm.
socialization events, their community engagement events. Sometimes there's a call to action to help with certain things that come up. We had one. There was a horrible fire in the Bronx a few months ago,
Okay.
where several people got killed and a lot of people were displaced for their homes.
Mm-hmm.
And we made a call to action to our chapter and to donate like winter weather gear because it was in the middle of winter and people were just out of their homes.
Uh-huh.
And the outpouring was so much that the place that was collecting clothes told us, don't bring any more. And so we ended up finding other partners because we just had so much. I mean, we had people from as far as Suffolk County, which is, basically 2 hours away from where we normally meet,
Mm-hmm.
in about 3.5 hours from the Bronx, come out. The Suffolk County PD came out and donated a truckload of winter weather gear. So things like that happens on the local level. On the national level, but there's two big meetings. We
Mm-hmm.
have we call the CEO Symposium. That's our winter meeting, uh,
Okay.
and that's very businesslike, very much geared towards executives running their organizations or people aspiring to be executives to run a department. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have what I would call the crown jewel event, which is our national uh, training conference that we
Mm-hmm.
have during the summer every year. And that's when everyone from all the chapters uh, come out to meet. And you're talking 2,000 to 3,000 people
Wow.
coming out to a conference. A lot of training,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of mentorship going on, a lot of networking. Just the level of the level and caliber of people you meet at the national conference is amazing. We had I had an opportunity to attend a crowd control course taught
Okay.
by the captain that was responsible for the crowd control during the unrest in Ferguson, Missouri.
Hmm.
So if there's anyone you wanted to learn about crowd control from, it was him. And at, and then maybe a year or so later, we began to have the unrest in New York. And I just had a plethora of information to give to my agency and others that I obtained from that conference. We also do during the national conference, we do a memorial walk where we all
Okay.
get our dress uniforms, and we go through the neighborhood to a local church and have a memorial service for
Hmm.
the officers that we lost in the past year. And that's always special because the community, you as surprised I was at my first meeting at
Mm-hmm.
seeing maybe a few dozen black executives, the community gets to see thousands,
Hmm.
and it's always receptive. It's all they wave, they take pictures, we wave back, they say
Hmm.
thank you. It's always an outpouring of support. So that's one of my favorite moments of the national conference.
Nice, nice. That's got to be a good feeling, actually, with all the negativity in the world that seems to be circled around law enforcement. Period. Every time you hear something about law enforcement, you hear something a negative story attached to it. To actually be in the field working. And to go to an event where you're honoring those who have fallen, those who have paid the ultimate price while working this occupation, and to be recognized, excuse me, and to be recognized and to be heartfelt recognized, have people come out and wave, take pictures, and actually be happy that you're there has got to be an overwhelming experience.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the first time I went, I believe it was the year of the unrest in Ferguson, and
Hmm.
we were in Washington D.C. DC can be a little tough. Uh,
Hmm.
so we were out there, and I'm like, I was. It was my first time. I was nervous on how would be received, but it was all positive. It was all
Gotcha.
positive. Even in that climate, it was positive.
Hmm.
I think our community wants to see us
Hmm.
in uniform, regardless of what you may hear, on social media, or think you get your few people on the fringe that say crazy things, but for the majority, they want to see us in uniform. They want to see us in positions making policy. They want to see us making the call on how their community is policed.
Hmm.
Because regardless of whether they agree with our decisions or not, they know it's not coming from a certain place.
Hmm.
And there's a certain comfort in that, so
Right. Totally understand that. So, as far as being in Noble itself, where exactly has it taken you so far? I mean, have you traveled throughout the country for many, like you said, many events and training experiences and conferences?
yeah, I've been with the national conference day. It's generally in a different city every year. So we've been to DC, Atlanta, New Orleans, Hollywood, Florida. This year
Hmm.
it's in Orlando.
Okay.
Dallas unfortunately got canceled because of COVID.
Mm,
With the CEO symposium, it's been in Seattle.
mm,
It was just in Baton Rouge. That's so you get to travel throughout the country. Um, Not myself, but some of my members got to had the opportunity to visit our chapters outside of the country in
hmm.
Toronto, Jamaica, the
Okay.
UK. So it's the national organization, but we have grown outside the borders of the US. So
Hmm. Nice. That's got to be fun just to go along for the experience itself, especially while you're doing the work.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, as you said that you're the current president, how long will you actually sit in the seat for the New York chapter?
So a term is 2 years.
Okay.
So my term will be up at the end of this year. You're able to serve 2 consecutive terms.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if you know, I would definitely serve again if my chapter, uh, you know, would bestow the honor upon me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of work we didn't get to do because of COVID
Right.
within the first year, and I like to
Mm-hmm.
accomplish a lot more things that I had on my agenda. There's some
Mm-hmm.
unfinished business, but there are a lot of capable people. There are a lot of people capable of running the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there are many good hands they can be in. So like I said, this being president is a privilege. It's not, is there's nothing to be entitled to. It's definitely a privilege.
Right. And without letting the cat out of the bag too much, what kind of events would you like to see forthcoming throughout the chapter?
Definitely more community engagement. We're working right now. NYPD is the well, they're the largest police force in the country.
Mhm.
So definitely in the city, and they have a lot of resources. And we've been developing relationship with within their community center they have in Brooklyn, where they do a lot of youth events. So definitely doing more engagement on that level. Definitely would like to be more engaged with the political arm of the state
Mhm.
and the city to make sure we're on their agenda, and make sure when they're contemplating criminal justice policy changes that we're consulted, that Noble's at the table whenever these things are on the table.
Right.
So that's really what I want to push for
Mhm.
going forward. That the social distancing kind of got in the way of.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope things are able to pan out for you and you're able to accomplish those tasks.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So when you're out and about and like you're at the you said the NYPD does events at neighborhood centers and things. What kind of interactions do you see with the kids? Kids that you may know in particularly, or kids that you just see out there? Do they actually look at you in a certain amount of awe, or do you get the negative vibe, or is it kind of a mixture?
It's definitely a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can say right now, a lot more than it's been in the past. There is some apprehension. There's some mistrust until
Mm-hmm.
they not necessarily get to know you, but get to fill you out.
Uh-huh.
You know, young people they pick up on authenticity really quick,
Mm-hmm.
and when when you're your true self. Because I'm from the same neighborhoods they're from,
Mhm.
Probably, I mean, I don't listen to the same music they listen to now, but I'm hip hop generation.
Uh-huh.
I'm Biggie and Jay-Z. They're whoever they listen to now, but but it's on the same wavelength.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm into the same sports and everything that they're into. So you can connect with them on personal levels. You can connect with them on on a real level that doesn't have anything to do with criminal justice, public
Mhm.
safety, policing, and anything like that. And I
Mhm.
think once you connect on those levels, you know they can start if they start opening up and listening to what you have to say about public safety, criminal justice, policing, and things like that. You have to definitely earn your credibility
Right.
first, and
Right.
then before you even think about trying to offer advice or find out what's going on in their lives and things like that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I coached little midget league football for 7 years, a couple years ago, and actually interact with the kids first to actually learn kids and deal with them, and deal with them on a sporting event is one thing, and then actually once they give you your trust and you can have a conversation with them that, like you said, they're more receptive. You're able to drive the point home a little more, especially now that most of the kids that I dealt with now are predominantly in high. Some are graduated in high school, and I think the last year I coached those kids maybe now in 8th grade, so they're actually dealing with more, I hate to say, for lack of a better term, real life issues, because they're coming into their own. They're going through puberty. They're in high school. They're dealing with certain issues
Becoming
that,
more aware of the world. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so now they feel a little bit more comfortable coming to a familiar face from their childhood, asking certain questions or just handling certain things, or at least even if they don't ask the questions, if I give them a piece of advice, I feel like that it hits home, it resonates with them a little harder than it would if I was just some guy in a uniform having a conversation with
Right. Yeah. 100%.
them. Yeah, yeah. So, what kind of lessons have you learned while being either in Noble or working the job, from either a friend, mentor, or experiences like that you would like to share with us?
Oh, I mean, tons. It feels like I learned something almost every day from
Understand.
someone.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I mean, the biggest thing I learned from from leaders, because I won't say good leaders, because to be a leader you have to be good, right? So what I learned from leaders is
Hmm.
that t- taking care of your people is paramount,
Hmm.
and to be a leader, people don't necessarily have to like you, but they have to trust you. You know,
Hmm.
and that trust is built through competence and compassion. Your people have to believe that you know what you're doing,
Hmm.
and they also have to believe that you care about their well-being.
Hmm.
And if they believe those two things, they'll trust you, and they'll follow you off the edge of the earth.
Hmm.
Um, and all the little things that I've learned can be summed up basically, around competency and compassion. I either was taught to know my craft, to master my craft, to be ahead of the curve in the
Hmm.
profession, to read up on it, to learn, what's coming next.
Hmm.
Um, what are the problems happening in other places? Because these things travel. Um,
Hmm.
and then I've also learned, the compassion side. Take care of your people. You know, even if somebody gets jammed up, gets put out on the street, you call them just to see if they're all right. Not even don't talk about what you don't have to talk about what
Right,
happened, but
right.
check in on them. Say, hey, are you okay?
Hmm.
Um, be they always tell you as you move up in the ranks, don't forget where you came from. But
Hmm.
what I've learned is you do forget, because you do become out of touch. The further you're removed from a situation, and your mind is thinking about other things, and you have different priorities. You tend to forget some of the small things that happens with your officers or your frontline supervisors. So always, I've learned to always stay engaged with them, so that I'm reminded of the realities on the ground, and
Hmm.
that helps with decision making. So yeah, so yeah, those are all the lessons I've learned, the mentorship I've got. Some can be summed up in those two things: is knowing your job and caring about your people.
Good answer. Good answer. And so, like you stated just now, knowing the job and actually becoming the master of the craft and keeping up with the people, is that what some of the lessons that you instill in newer officers as well?
Oh, absolutely. I one of the biggest things that I remember seeing a light go off on one of my officers' heads, that I was getting complaints about,
Hmm.
with the nothing vicious, but just complaints of unprofessionalism and things like that. And so one time, actually, on observing them on a car stop, I seen them. I'll just say behave a little unprofessionally.
Uh-huh.
And so next time they came back to the house, I said, "Hey, let me talk to you for a moment." And I told them, I said, um, "When you're out there, you're not just policing, you're supervising people." And I says, "And
Hmm.
when you talk to people, whether they did right or wrong, you should speak to them how you would want your supervisor to speak to you." I said, "If you do wrong, you want your sergeant yelling at you, calling you stupid, doing things like that? No, no, I would never. Then you shouldn't do that to people.
Right.
For speeding, for you know unsafe lane changes and things like that, for vehicle and traffic violations. You should,
Hmm.
you treat them the same. You treat them how you want your supervisor to treat you." Um, so lessons like that.
Hmm.
With through facilitated through Noble, I had a study group for the last lieutenant's exam.
Okay.
Um, so sergeants, I made them join first, and then
Hmm.
they
Smart.
gave us use of facilities and teaching techniques.
Okay.
The material changes from agency to agency, but
Mhm.
studying and learning is the same, right? The test the same formats and things like that. So
Right.
understanding how you learn is very important. Understanding how to take the test is important.
Mhm.
So through Noble, they gave us all those materials to share, and then just going over the subject matter. And um, out of the 6 people that were in the class, 5 of them passed the lieutenant's exam.
Wow.
So, and yeah, and we continued to fight for promotions, to you know move getting into specialized units, things like that. And just on another note, we know that we have to be twice as good to get half as far. So
Hmm.
I definitely push my people. Hey, yeah, you didn't finish your degree, go back, finish. Go get that cert, take that extra training class, do all those things. Make the case for you to move forward has to be strong, has to be solid,
Hmm.
has to be airtight. So that's the mentorship that I provide.
Gotcha. Nice and sound advice. Sound advice. And not only is it like the Masonic order that I'm in, we make good men and make them better. It sounds like that's just pretty much the standard on any kind of organization that means to leave a legacy and to uh, better empower the newer people coming through.
Yeah, I was on a leadership panel for our regional conference earlier last month actually now.
Hmm.
And one of the individuals on the panel with chief from NYPD, Chief Kim Royster, she pointedly said that, you know when we rise up on that elevator and
Hmm.
get off, don't forget to send it back down. you know and it's true. You got to make sure, as you climb, you lift.
That's a good
So
analogy.
it's very important that we all do that in all organizations and across the board, because
Mhm.
a lot of these things are just access and networking and knowing people and things like that. So um, yeah, definitely always looking to move people along, give people that extra boost, you know.
Hmm. And in your role currently, and in roles in the past, how strongly do you feel that you're making a positive difference? Is it something that you feel immediately, or is that something that you just know you're making a positive difference, or do you actually see the consequences of those actions maybe years down the line?
I can say, you know, honestly, when you're in it, sometimes you're in it and you're not looking at it, right? Um, I'm very you know, results driven,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to like work and
Hmm.
business, different metrics you can measure your results by. Um, but when it comes to things like making a change, making a difference, sometimes you don't realize it until you sit back and you kind of look around and you kind of say, wow, you know, you weren't there until we did this, and you weren't there until we did that, and I wasn't here until, you know, this happened, and then you kind of look around and say, and because it's always a constant fight, the change doesn't feel like it's happening. But then sometimes you stop and you look around, you're like, okay, there's some progress going on. There's some things happening. You know, sometimes it's not as
Uh-huh.
fast as you want or as dramatic as you want, but you can always you sometimes you look around and you say, okay, it's gotten better. It's not where we want it to be, but
Hmm.
it's definitely gotten better. And any small part I've played uh, in anyone's career or anyone's life, you know,
Hmm.
I'm sure they've played the same in my life. You know, I'm sure as I'm teaching, I'm learning. You know, and I think we all are. And you know, helping others, you end up helping yourself too. So
Yeah, yeah, it's a give and take. Life is very cyclic. I know Les Brown says it best. The more that you pour and you give, the more is poured back to you, and is given back to you as well.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, in the course of your career, what kind of frustrations have you experienced or seen that you would like to share with us?
I guess the overall frustration, and it's probably well, it's twofold.
Uh huh.
Um, one is the frustration with I'll say diversity, equity, and inclusion
Hmm.
in our agencies and departments. You know, I believe we've made strides in diversity. You know, there are people of color in places, um, but the equity and inclusion is where we struggle. You
Okay.
know, they're there. You know,
Hmm.
it's almost like, you know, you get invited to the table, but you know, don't say nothing. You
Yeah.
know,
Uh
so
huh.
and that's not what we're looking for. You know, we want to be in positions where we're affecting change, we're consulting on policy, where you know we're a part of the outcome, we're a part of the product.
Hmm.
Um, uh, uh, Another source of frustration is just the um, slow speed in which we progress in law enforcement. You know, technology and stuff runs laps around us before we deploy it, and
Right.
it's, you know, and the job can be done so much more efficiently, and cheaper. To be quite, you know, then that's the executive in me speaking, cheaper, you know, than it's being done now.
Uh
If
huh.
we were just more flexible, if we were, and I understand that's a product of bureaucracy and things like that, but you know, someone has to come along and instill some sort of flexibility in these agencies, so that, you know, when new tech comes out, when we learn something new, when we learn how to handle situations in a new way, that
Hmm.
we can deploy this training, we can deploy this technology, we can deploy this knowledge out into the field faster. You know,
Hmm.
every day that is delayed is a day that something's not getting done, something could go wrong, something is continuing to be done incorrectly.
Mhm.
And so as you can see there, that's my frustration. Frustrations, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes perfect sense too. I know it changes slow most times, and whatever the reason is, whether it's just trust, whether it's, I know in with our profession in law enforcement, I mean, change can also be slow just because you get comfortable in a certain style, you get comfortable in a certain groove, and you don't want to have to you don't want to learn something new, you don't want to have to relearn something, you don't want to have to implement something. We did it this way for 10 years, it
Right,
worked. Why do we have to start over again trying it this way? Even though it may save time, it may save money, it makes more sense. This is the way I remember. I remember when when I was first on, when we actually wrote out exchange sheets for accidents. You know, you got unit one, unit two, you got carbon paper, and I'm probably dating myself, but it's okay. And once I learned the system, I could go block by block on memory, and I didn't have
right,
to. I knew what I needed here. I knew what I needed here. I knew what I needed. I had to fill this out. Okay, I didn't get this information. I got to go back and ask that person this before I exchange this information. Bam.
right.
What took maybe 15 minutes or so to go through, I loved it. I was okay with it after I got it down to a system. And then when
Right.
things changed and things went electronic, and you could scan information in and type it in, and you had all this information, I was like one of the last people go that direction. Even though what took 15 minutes can now take 5, I like the old way better. And I up until we ran out of carbon paper, I was still using carbon paper up until I had no other choice, and I had to learn the new system. And actually, learning that new system actually made it more professional, more current, save time, and more efficient. And so I get both sides of it, but remembering the old ways and not wanting to adjust to a new way.
Yeah, I remember someone once told me this. They said there are two things that cops hate: change and the way things are. And so, I'll never forget that because that it's so true.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I know. So we talked about some of the things that are a frustration for you. What are some of the things that you kind of alluded to them a little bit? What are some of the things that are a positive or a plus for you? Whether it's out in the community, whether it's working, whether it's people you engage with, or anything.
I mean, as a plus for me is a big thing is especially as now in the position that I am
Hmm.
is able to make decisions that take care of my people.
Okay.
Um, you know, uh, Sometimes things come down that are questionable, and I'm able to massage it or make it work so that it's not brutal on my people, or it actually works for them. Um, that's the best thing for me, as far as in the workspace, is
Hmm.
being in a position to protect my troops from whatever.
Hmm.
um out as far as Noble, there's nothing I like more than the ability to have say so on policy, statewide policy, citywide policy, departmental policy, able to personnel decisions, able to get the right people into the right positions. Um there's a lot of times some of the right people they're just humble and quiet, and they don't push, and sometimes it's the people that work loud that get everything.
Hmm. Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Right. And and in my position in Noble, I'm able to be their squeaky wheel without them having to leave, without them doing something that isn't in their nature.
Uh huh.
So that's where I get my fulfillment. I get fulfillment from taking care of my people, making sure that the people I work with are good.
Hmm. Good, good. Thank you, thank you. Let me ask you another question here. As far as heroes belong, who are some people or individuals in this profession, or maybe not even in this profession, that you may look up to, or that is your own personal hero, or that you glean on for advice as like a mentor? Who you want give them a shout out, or who would they be? So let's learn a little bit about who you look up to.
Well, I'm gonna go to my uncle, Leroy Pitts. He was in the DOJ. He retired from the DOJ in borough prisons as an associate warden.
Okay.
Um, and he was always in law enforcement, and the only one in our family in law enforcement. And
Hmm.
so when I got my job, he was very excited
Hmm.
and began coaching me and mentoring me from the beginning. Every promotion, he told me what was most important about my new position. You know,
Uh-huh.
I'll never forget when I became captain. He says, "All right, two things that are most important is the budget and don't let the bridge fall in the water. Other than that, you're good." Right. And he's the most encouraging person I've ever met in my life. And not just for me, just anyone. You could work in the laundromat and he would tell people, man, if you ever want your clothes as clean as the cleanest place you get your clothes, if you take it to him in that laundromat, because he'll make he's very encouraging, and
Uh-huh.
he's very politically astute.
Mhm.
um Definitely taught me how to navigate. He's the one that told me to join Noble. When
Okay.
I made lieutenant, he said, congratulations, now you got to join Noble. And I was like, what's a Noble? He use your internet and figure it out, but you got to join. So he's definitely, everything that happens in my career and happens for me, he's one of the first calls that's made to me. Congratulations. And the congratulations always comes with advice to get to the next level. I
Uh,
I get I get elected president, a Noble. He's talking to me about, all right, so now you gotta look at the city council. Like, I'm like, whoa, relax. I don't want to be an elected official. Like, he says, but that's the next step. I'm like, listen, like, I gotta. So that's the type of person he is. He's always encouraging, mentor, always giving me the best advice.
mhm.
My list of mentors is too long to name, and I wouldn't want to leave anyone out. But
I
but
understand.
he's definitely someone uh, that I definitely pinpoint. Um, my success is heavily guided by his mentorship and his
Mhm.
coaching.
All right. Yeah, you said his name is Leroy Pitts.
Yep.
Very encouraging, huh? Always pushing you, no matter what level you get to, he's pushing you to the next one, no matter
Yeah,
what.
yeah, yeah. If I was to ever make city council, he'll tell me to start running for governor.
Good. Keeps you on your toes to do better,
Yeah,
strive to do
keeps you
better.
keeps you on my toes, definitely.
All right, cool. I like him already. I like him already. So let me ask you this: another follow up question on that. I'm sorry. Um, it, I'll give a little surface on why I'm asking this question. I did a town hall back in October, and it was with a group of high school kids. They stayed after school in this town hall, and it went very well. Actually, I was actually amazed and surprised on the type of answer or questions they were asking. I thought it was going to be a lot of kind of jabbing kind of questions, and I thought it was going to be a little difficult to go through. But I was willing to donate an hour of my time to be the punching bag if that's what it was going to need to be. But it wasn't that at all. It was actually very pleasant. The questions were very on point and on topic for the current situation, and they were very informative. Like they legitimately were asking questions where they wanted to learn something from. And one of the questions that came up often, which to my amazement again, which is employment with law enforcement. Some were looking or just wanted to know about employment with law enforcement. How would they go about doing it, and the benefits that they would get from it? If some kid, a high school kid, male or female, came up to you and asked you, could you give them a breakdown on they're thinking about applying for to become a police officer, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would give him. So my advice would first thing I would definitely ask them, you know, why do they want to get into the profession?
Mm-hmm.
What are they looking to get out of the profession?
Mm-hmm.
Because in New York City alone, 33 law enforcement agencies operate within New York City.
Wow.
So you can be in law enforcement and be responsible for policing anything. Like me, I'm sure there's very few places I've met actually with some of my counterparts. There aren't a lot of bridge and tunnel policing, right? There's like
Mm-hmm.
like who gets into that. There's but there's transportation. We have homeless services police. We
Mm-hmm.
have DCAS police that protect city buildings. We have then you have your federal partners, your state partners, your investigators.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely want to know why they want to get into it, and what your interest is. And I will also let them know how many different options there are out there. They may just be thinking of just regular police patrol and
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature, but their real interest may be in helping children.
Mm-hmm.
We have ACS police, administrative child services. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so your first day in, you're going out helping children. They maybe they want to be investigators. They want to unveil corruption. You go to Department of Investigations for first day in. That's what you're doing. So I would definitely want to know why they want to get into law enforcement, what their
Mm-hmm.
interests are, and then lay out all the different agencies and opportunities for them to be involved in law enforcement. You know.
Nice. Okay. And so after you lay that information out and they say, well, what's the process? I know things may be a little different in New York as they are here in Pennsylvania. I can only speak for what I'm aware of here. But then for us, you would start if they're already a college grad. If not, I tell them personally that military is the route to go. Military will get you the job. College will get you promoted, is what I tell a lot of the kids now. But definitely they go through the police academy. And while they're going through the police academy, if they haven't already, start applying everywhere. Like what you said, your aunt or your mother told you is when you started applying, apply
Yes.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. She wasn't even talking about law enforcement. She's just like any
Mm,
civil service job. I think Pennsylvania might be a little different where you go to the academy and then you find an agency. In New York, you have to find the agency first,
okay.
and then you go. They'll send you to the academy.
Okay.
So you kind of definitely uh, college first, because a lot of these places they're looking for college credits to even qualify for employment with the agency.
Hmm.
Some of them I do think take military in lieu of, but a lot of them take college credits. Oh, I'm sorry to just
That's all right.
a little just had a little light issue here. Let me see if I can
See,
fix
what I tell you, what can go wrong will go wrong.
it. Yes, yes, yes. I don't know if that helps any,
Yep,
but
we'll make it through.
okay. So yeah, so definitely college, and also for me too, college uh expands your mind.
Hmm.
You start thinking about different things, um and it definitely will influence your decision, not only like which department you want to be a part of, but
Hmm.
also will affect your decisions with once you're in there, what interests you have and what you're going to get into.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And that kind of clears things up. And from state to state, I'm glad to hear that. It's nice to know that things are different. And actually, thank you for the correction. In Pennsylvania, you can actually go through the police academy and not some guys get picked up before the academy. Some guys get picked up while they're in the academy. If you're like me, I didn't get picked up until I was already graduated.
Yeah,
I
I think
know.
a lot more states are like Pennsylvania than like New York. New
Mhm.
York is especially down in the city is a different animal altogether.
Right.
The city's a
Right.
different animal from the rest of the state. So yeah, so but definitely most states are more like Pennsylvania, where you get like your post certificate, and then you can start applying to different police agencies.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. Hey, thank you for the conversation. Thank you for sharing. We had a very introspective interview here with Ramel Lee, the president of the New York chapter of N.O.B.L.E, National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. Through the course of our conversation, is there anything that I may have forgot to ask, or was your memory jogged? And is there something that you would like to share? Right now, the floor is yours.
Oh no, I definitely want to thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak. I'm always, willing to share my experiences and hope that someone learns from my experiences to make their journey a little easier. Just, the only thing that I would add is, especially myself and through Noble, uh, you know, the fight for equitable justice for all communities be treated with respect is paramount to policing being successful. And I think that should be something that everyone is on board with.
Right. I agree with that. Yep. Thank you for making yourself available. It was nice meeting you late last week, actually physically face to face. And nice having you on the panel today to explain your views. I appreciate everything. Definitely interested in seeing where things move from here. I'm
Yeah, I'm about to dig into your book soon. So
definitely. I wasn't gonna ask. I wasn't gonna ask, but I got them labeled up here, and then we got the publishing company. I got one of the books from the publishing company back there as well. So a lot of good
yeah.
things coming down the pipeline on the entrepreneurial side.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I got a special treat for you, something I plan on implementing here on the podcast itself. This is in the premature stages, so don't make fun of me just yet, but stick around. I'm going to remove both of us, and I'm going to show this video quick. Make sure you guys stay tuned, all right? Hello, my name is Sergeant Be Safe, and I want to show you how you can be safe. Just a little clip. It's not fully done yet, but I just wanted to show what's coming down the pipeline. Just a cartoon of things on just being safe and instrumental. Instructional, and we're gonna have fun doing it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys tag, like, and share. Make sure to get those likes up. Make sure you guys spread the word, and we have more people and more law enforcement officers coming down the pipeline for later on this month. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be safe and have a wonderful night. Thank you.